We'll just give it another minute or two, guys. But basically, before we jump in, if you also want to just put in the chat what the main thing you'd like to get out of today is, let me know. I've gotten a lot of intake questions from you guys, what you're kind of looking for, but I'd be curious for the people who are on live, what's the main thing you'd like to get out of today's session as well, okay? And Ron, if you want to put on your video as well, mate. So with Zoom as well, guys. There we go. Awesome, Ron. If you want to pop in the chat, mate, where you're calling in from in the world. Kelly's jumping on now as well. Dallas. Very good. So yeah, we've got a nice international crew. Norway, Dublin, Liverpool, Dallas. Um, okay. So also, guys, if you just put in the main thing you'd like to get out of today's session, that would be really helpful as well. Okay. So Pam has said some movements to do daily to help with mobility. So this is going to be exactly what we're going to do today, something that you can actually follow consistently, which is the important thing. But with a lot of this stuff to do with health and mobility and habits in general. Daily routine for flexibility from Ron. Joe, shoulder and hip mobility from basics with progressions. Very good. Got Danny's jumping on as well. And Pamela, daily mobility flexibility. Awesome. So Danny, if you can turn on the camera as well, mate, that'd be great. Same as you, Kelly. I think this is Kelly from Perth. Uh, yeah, so put on the videos if you can, guys. If you're at work, don't worry. But ideally, if I can actually see what you're doing, it's going to be much better. Okay, so Danny can't put on the camera. Okay, guys, so we're going to jump in. I'm going to go through just a little bit of the kind of the theory, the why behind why we're going to be doing the movements we're doing today. And then we're going to actually go through them live, going to break them down for you, give you variations, so it's very, very easy and accessible. And then we're going to finish with a bit of Q&A. Any questions that you have, just kind of keep them till the end because we can, keep the last kind of 10, 15 minutes just to really break down any questions you have. Stuff will probably come up as well as you're doing movements. I'll be giving you feedback live on the call as well. So that's why I was saying having your camera on, you're just going to get much more out of these sessions because I'll be able to actually visually see like what's going on with you as well. Okay. So just pop stuff in the chat if you have any questions at the moment. Okay. Awesome. So today we are going to cover a mobility workshop. And this is something we do in our program. So Pamela is in the program. We do these kind of live routines every month. And I just wanted to see if other people like on the email list were interested, which they were. So basically, the main reasons from about 30 people filled out the form for joining this workshop, and it's kind of what a lot of you guys said already, is that you wanted to improve your general mobility and flexibility, learn routines that you can stick to daily, reduce and manage pain and stiffness, prevent falls and future issues, build strength and stay active as you age, rehab existing injuries. And then there were some coaches who joined as well who wanted to kind of expand their toolkit and kind of understanding about how I do things. Okay. So we're going to be focusing on a very basic routine, but I'm going to explain why it's so effective to you in today's session. And the main reason or what a lot of people were hoping to get out of today is a routine or action plan to follow afterwards So you're going to get the recording that you can follow. You're also going to get the program sent in a PDF form with all the videos and extras. Also, better understanding of mobility and technique. So we're going to be going through 5 movements. That's it. Really, really simple movements, but we're going to go through lots of variations of them. So regardless of how you're feeling, you will most likely be always able to access these movements, whether you're feeling good, whether you're feeling stiff or tight. And we're going to just teach you the progressions and regressions of these exercises. A sense of progress and improved confidence. So you guys who are coming on live will definitely feel more confident at the end of this. And then the resource that you can revisit will be sent to you tomorrow as well. So this is what we're going to go through today, guys. Okay. So this is a program I built earlier this year, and it's basically really just zooming out on, like, after coaching people for 14 years, what are like the 5 most bang for buck movements that most people are going to benefit from. So they're going to be really, really effective, really safe, and also something that they can do consistently on a daily basis to alleviate the most common issues I see coming up. So the 5 movements are wrist prep, so variations of wrist prep, which is going to help your wrist mobility and offset phone use, keyboard use, driving. The second one is a T-spine rotation. So this is where it opens up your thoracic spine. So this is basically your kind of mid-back area behind your sternum, which gets very restricted and gives you that kind of hunchback posture. That also affects your shoulders if your thoracic spine is restricted. Shoulder dislocations, which helps open up tight chest and shoulders that gets all locked up from sitting. Also, if you get a lot of neck tension, which is one of the most common issues we see with clients, this is a great exercise for that. Spider-Man lunge with reach. So this opens up your hips, your spine, your calves. Probably the best kind of bang for buck exercise. It's just here, the one in the photo. And then the final one is the modified pigeon. So opens up your glutes and your lower back. So we're going to go through these. The routine, basically, you would do each one for 60 seconds. So that's 5 minutes. And you can repeat it 1, 2, 3 times during your day. And that turns into a 5, a 10, a 15-minute routine. The magic with this is it's something that you can do daily, and it's something that's going to, again, alleviate and unlock the most common issues that we have from, like, spending all day at a desk, being on devices, being driving, commuting, and just help alleviate those symptoms. Okay, so if you're very motivated, a nice little challenge for you after today is to do it daily for the next 30 days and see how you feel. Okay, that would be a nice thing to kind of get a message from you in 30 days and let me know how you're feeling. So the reason behind this stuff, and the reason we build programs the way we do, it's based on this model of, this is called upper cross and lower cross syndrome. And it's a result of your tonic muscles and your phasic muscles. Okay, so this is just a really simple way of understanding maybe what you haven't done in the past hasn't worked, or why you keep getting these annoying injuries, and what you actually need to prioritize. So your tonic muscles, they're responsible for maintaining your posture and are naturally more resilient to fatigue, but they're also prone to becoming overactive and tight due to stress and poor posture. So examples of this is your hip flexors, your chest, your hamstrings, your lower back, but it's mostly the muscles kind of on the front of the body. The phasic muscles are designed for power and movement, so they're more prone to weakness and overuse, especially in people who are sedentary or inactive. And this is your glutes, your upper back, and your core. So an example of this is, for most people who sit all day, you find that your glutes get very weak and your abs get very weak. Your lower back gets tight, your hip flexors get tight. So this is called lower cross syndrome. Upper cross syndrome is where your upper back gets weak and your pecs get tight, and your traps get very tight as well, and your neck flexors get weak. And a lot of the times when you go to a gym, you actually work on stuff that's making the tight muscles tighter and the weak muscles weaker. So an example of this is, if I go to the gym and I just train my chest, my arms, and my quads, I'm making all of these issues worse. Or if I go to a high intensity class and they're getting me to do burpees and lunges and squats and push-ups, I'm being forced into these positions even more so. So now all of a sudden my shoulders are getting tighter, my hips are getting tighter, my knees are getting sore, my lower back is getting sore, and I'm doing all this exercise, but I'm not really getting anywhere. And it gets very frustrating. So if you zoom out, the really simple thing to think about is I want to strengthen all this posterior chain. So these muscles here behind my shoulder blades, my glutes, if I just focus on really strengthening those movements and opening up my chest and the front of my hips, that's like the zoom out, really simplified version. Strengthen the back of my body, stretch the front of my body. And this is going to just alleviate a lot of the decades we've been spending in this slumped forward sitting position. Okay. And that's part of like what we're going to be doing today is working on opening up those tight positions. Now, the most common reason we see clients who never get results or people who never get results is they have this mentality. So it's the all or nothing mentality. You're either all in, you're doing the exercise plan multiple times a week, you're doing the perfect diet, or you are off the wagon completely. Okay. And this is really pervasive in fitness, and obviously it's not serving anyone. Like if you apply this same mentality to your work or your relationships, you're going to have no job and no relationships very, very quickly, right? So we want to turn fitness into something that never stops as well. And the way you make it into something that never stops is you make it much lower intensity. Also trying to push through pain rather than fix the root cause. So like I talked about in the last one, this is fixing the root cause. Pushing through pain is just doing a random workout, even though it doesn't feel good, and just focusing on pushing harder every time. Your body is just going to keep breaking down. Also, you only exercise when you've time. We all know that this is just never the right time to make time for exercise. So you want to turn this into something very, very small, like this program that you guys are going to be working through today, something that you can build into your day and lifestyle. Okay. And then the final thing is just kind of accepting chronic fatigue and tightness is like, oh yeah, this is just me. I'm just getting old, but not actually acknowledging that it's age does have a contributing factor, but it's also because you haven't been doing any of the things conducive to building a strong, resilient body over the last few weeks, months, years of your life. Okay. This image perfectly describes this. Basically, auto-regulation versus constant maximal effort. So a lot of the way people approach training is they feel motivated. Maybe it's January. You start training multiple times a week. You're in a really good routine. Then all of a sudden life happens. You get stressed, you get busy at work, you might pick up an injury because you're pushing yourself so hard. And then you go into that all or nothing mentality. Well, I can't do it perfectly, so I won't do anything at all. You stop completely. Then all of a sudden, 1, 2, 3 years, 1, 2, 3 months passes, and you restart again. And this cycle kind of repeats itself indefinitely over time. The second way is through constant maximal effort. So this is where you're training until you feel maybe you're getting a roadblock, and you actually just sustain and you scale your exercise based on how you're feeling. Or you get a bit of an injury and you train around it. Okay. Then you push a bit more. Again, something happens in life, but you just scale things up or down and you continue moving forwards. And this is explained in this image here. Basically, maybe most of the time you're at a 6, you do the gym 3 times a week. Then life happens and you scale it down to just literally taking the stairs or elevator or doing a 10-minute workout. Okay. But you don't turn off the actual exercise habit. You do it all the time. 365, every single time in your entire life. And then when you feel like you've got more bandwidth, you do it more frequently. Okay. So I just want you to think about that exercise. It's like a temperature dial. You scale up or down, but you never turn it off completely. That's the power of all this stuff. Now, the last thing is just you don't want to strive for perfection. You want to strive for excellence. So today when you're doing the exercises, some of them might feel very easy. Some of them might be really hard, and it's easy to start judging yourself. Oh my God, I'm so stiff, da 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 da. But really just with practice, you can become better at all these exercises. Everything is a skill. Everything is something that will improve with consistent practice. Okay, so we're going to jump in, guys, and we're going to start with the wrists. Okay. So first exercise, and I'm going to turn this on. If you have any questions about what we just went through as well, just pop it in the chat and I'll answer them afterwards. So the first thing we're going to work on, guys, is wrist prep. And we're going to start by making it really easy. And you can do this from sitting if you want to. And you're basically going to just have your hands out in front of you. and we're flexing and extending. Okay, so flexing and extending. Ideally, you're going to have your elbows locked out here if possible. And we're going to go for 5 to 10 reps here, flexing and extending. And you'll start feeling a bit of a pump with your blood flow through your forearms and wrists. And this is a really good way of just opening up the forearms, the wrists, and offsetting a lot of the tension that we build up, in particular from phone use. I definitely use my phone more than I'd like to, so this is always a great way of alleviating that, okay? So we'll go for 3 more. And last one. Okay, so shake it out. Now we're going to do the same thing, but this time our elbows are locked in place and we're flexing and extending here. And we're just doing the same thing, but now the muscles are shortened, so we're getting a different reaction through the wrists. Again, this is very safe. Basically, anyone, no matter what their level is at, can generally access this. And this is a good first step with the wrist prep. Sometimes the next variation that we're doing on the knees might be accessible to some of you because of knee issues. So this is where you start. Now we're going to do it one more time. This time we're going to have our fingers pointing out instead of pointing up, okay? And you might start feeling fatigue through the forearms and wrists. That's very normal. Trying to keep your elbows locked out if possible. And we're going to go for 3, 2, 1, and rest. Same thing on the side. Instead of having our fingers pointing up, we're out to the side now. And we're going to go for 10 repetitions here as well. Really focus on rounding your knuckles into your forearm and then opening up your hands as much as possible. So we're contracting and relaxing. And last one. Okay, so from there, guys, we're going to move into a tabletop position. If you have a yoga mat or something, move into that. And the movement we're going to work on first is this elbow rotation. So what you want to think about is your hands are on the ground. These are called your elbow pits, so the front of the elbows, and we want to rotate them from facing inwards to rotating forwards. Now you mightn't be able to rotate as much as me, that's totally fine. We just want to actively rotate our elbow pits to the front as best we can. Now this position with the elbow pits forward is really important from all sorts of upper body pressing exercises. So this is a great way to do push-ups from. If you ever work towards a handstand, this is how we teach the handstand as well. And what I'm kind of trying to get across today is everything is the base of something that it can progress to. So this is the base of learning the push-up, learning the handstand, learning all these movements. And even if you're on the first step of the ladder, you know that this is going to actually be a good foundation as you progress with your upper body abilities, okay? So we're going to go for 5 more of these. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Also, when you're doing this wrist prep, if my hands are way out here, this is putting a huge amount of tension on my wrists. So I want to think about my hips, which is my heaviest part of my body, to sit back. And that's going to basically take most of the tension off my arms. And this is a much easier variation of the movement than being out here. Out here, I'm putting a lot of tension on my wrists, okay? So from there, we're going to go into heel of hand raises. What this is doing is it's getting more strength through our forearms and it's getting a good stretch through our wrists. This is similar to doing calf raises. If you want to think about your calves are similar to the forearm muscles. And again, we're going to go for roughly 10 repetitions here. This is a great warm-up as well before you do any upper body exercise, but it's also a great thing to do on a daily basis to just offset keyboard use, phone use, getting tension through your hands, okay? So again, looking at it from the side view, hard version out here, putting a lot of weight through my wrists. Easy version, all the weight now is basically in my hips. This is very easy for me, okay? Now from here, we're just going to very simply switch the finger direction. So instead of going straight ahead, now our fingers are pointing away from each other, and we're just very gently working from side to side. So we're mobilizing those wrists even more. And again, with all of this, we want to be very gentle. You don't want to be pushing yourself, feeling like you're going to strain your wrist. We're just kind of coaxing more movement from the tissues and the joints. And 3, 2, 1. And then the last one we're going to do here is we're going to point our fingers back towards our knees. Now, again, this is really difficult because I need a lot of wrist flexibility here. So the closer I am to my knees, the easiest. If this is still hard, we can go back past the knees with one hand. So one hand is here supporting me, the other hand is back past my knees, and that should be accessible for most of you. Okay, if you feel very, very tight through the wrist, if you're able to do 2 at the same time, awesome, you can work at 2. But again, you want to be working at a variation that feels very manageable. Okay, that's a really important thing. You don't want to feel like you're pushing yourself to your limit if you've never done these exercises before. So we're going to go for 3, 2, and 1. Now, the last version we're going to do is on the back of the hand, and we're going to do rotations. Now, this can feel pretty challenging from a flexibility standpoint with our forearm and also just our motor control, like our brain and our arm are not like communicating properly. So you might be like this, which is totally fine. Also, you want to think about if this is too uncomfortable, the further back you go makes it more comfortable. Okay? And this is just a more advanced version of this one. So remember this rotation we did at the start? This is a more advanced version because we're going onto the back of the hand. So we're just going to do one at a time. So rotating the elbow pit forwards and backwards. You know, my elbow is locked out now, but when I first did this before, I was like bent here because I had so much tension through my forearms. But over time, it opens up. So I'm just going to have a look at you guys as you're doing that. Yeah, that's good, Kelly. That's good, Pamela. Well done. Okay, switching arms if you haven't already. And Ron and Pam, if you can tilt your cameras down, I can give you better feedback because I can't see you, okay? Yeah, it's good, Ron. Really nice. Pam, your camera's gone off just in case you don't realize as well. Okay. Awesome, guys. So that's our wrists done. Again, this is a great thing to work on daily, very, very low intensity, and it just frees up a lot of the tension that we get through our hands and wrists, okay? Also for upper body, like strength movements, it starts building a very good foundation. The second thing we're going to move on to is the T-spine rotation. So this is going to open up our thoracic spine, and we're going to start with what's called a T-spine opener. Now, the biggest thing we want to focus on with this movement is that our lower back doesn't take over. So our lower back is kind of the scapegoat in our body. It generally will be the area that compensates if we don't have enough range, okay? So what might happen, I'm just going to show you what the movement looks like first. This is our T-spine opener. But if my thoracic spine here is very restricted, I'll get to here and then I'll start dumping everything into my lower back to try and get the range. So we're just going to work on an easier variation first called the T-spine opener, not the T-spine rotation. And we're going to really just focus on ensuring that our lower back isn't taking over, which it has just been trained to do our whole lives, okay? So I'm keeping my knees bent roughly 90 degrees at the hip. I want to keep a bit of tension through my abs. So imagine someone's going to give you a very gentle kick in the stomach. So you're holding that tension, but you can still have a conversation. If it's uncomfortable for your head, you can put a pillow here, like so. And from there, we're setting up in this position. And all we're doing is we're opening our left arm all the way over and trying to touch the ground on the other side. Now that's the ideal, but a lot of you guys won't be anywhere close to that today, which is totally fine. So we're coming back to the start again, keeping tension through the abs. Big deep breath in, and on the exhale, we're opening, keeping that tension through the abs because that's going to ensure that our lower back doesn't cheat for us, okay? And this is all coming into our thoracic or mid upper back area. Close again, inhale, exhale, opening, trying to bring our shoulder blade towards the ground as much as we can as well. And just to show you guys on this side, so you can see. So inhale, exhale, all the way over, all the way over. I'm trying to bring my shoulder blade on this side as close to the ground as possible. Inhale again. We're going to do that for 3 to 5 more reps. I'm just going to have a look at you guys. So keep your knees bent up a little bit more, Kelly. Yeah, and you in particular, Kelly, with the back, I want you to be really actually have more tension through your abs, okay? And don't be as worried about touching the ground with your right shoulder blade as you should be with your abs staying locked in. That's more important, okay? Yeah, better. Because what will happen is you'll just start feeling that lower back getting cranky. That's good, Ron. Well done. Same for you, mate. I want you to focus on keeping the abs tight. Tight, tight, tight. Good. You've got an iPad, Pam, do you? So it's like following you around. Yeah. Uh, okay, other side, guys. That's it. And the next exercise we're going to be doing, the T-spine rotation, it's probably the most popular exercise. Like clients just love it because it just really opens up the areas that tend to get very kind of stiff, restricted, tight from sitting. And keep that left hip pushed down, Ron, as you're opening up your arms, okay? So keep that left hip pushed down. Keep it pushed down. There we go. That's better. Yeah, good. So Pamela, your camera's faded, just so you know, so I can't really see you. All right. Nice, guys. Everyone is executing that nicely. Do one more rep. Again, keeping that core. So that's looking much better, Kelly. Yeah. Over time, then you will just feel it's all the upper back because your core is locked in. You're not cheating with the lower back, all right? Okay. All right. Awesome, guys. So now we're going to go to the next variation. Again, if the next variation isn't accessible to you, you just stay on this easier variation. So T-spine rotation, basically, and for people who have shoulder issues, as a simple rule, if you have a shoulder problem, any movements where you're putting your hand over your head is generally higher risk. So you're better off doing everything that keeps your shoulders, your hands below your shoulders. So overhead pressing is an example that we just don't put into people's programs initially when they are recovering from a shoulder issue. The same way with the T-spine rotation, this rotational movement can aggravate your shoulder if you have a history there, okay? So you're better off staying with the T-spine open. So T-spine rotation, again, having a pillow or something can be good to keep yourself feeling comfortable, keeping the knees bent up, core is engaged. And from here, I'm going to reach away, and then I'm going to draw a circle all the way around. All the way around, all the way around to my hip, and then back home. So I'm going to put this here for now. And what generally happens with this is you start losing your range around here. Okay, so if you need to lift higher, that's totally fine. And when you get to around here, we're trying to bring our shoulder blade towards the ground, keeping our knee down, keeping our abs tight. Because it's much easier if I just use my lower back and hips, I can easily get my shoulders in the ground. But now I've kind of cheated. Okay, so we want to keep that knees down when we're doing it. Show you from this side, guys. Basically here, or to show you from this side. So we're here, all the way around. You might start having to lift a little bit here, which is totally fine. And then we're trying to bring that shoulder blade as close to the ground as possible and bringing it all the way around. So we're just going to do 3 reps on this one, each side, and then we're going to critique it and break it down in a bit more detail. Also, you want to look at the hand that's moving, okay, from a cue standpoint, okay? So thinking about if your right hand is going up and rotating, allow your eyes to follow that to the best of your ability. It's good. So we're going to do one more, then we're going to go to the other side, and then we're going to just break it down a little bit more. That's it. So we're going to go for 3 on the other side. So Ron, I want you to keep your knees bent up at 90 degrees, mate. There we go. Good. Same with you, Kelly. You can bring your knees up a bit more as well. And you, Pamela, up even more. So you want to think about your knees, yeah, in line with your hips. Good. We're going to do one more, guys. And then we're just going to break it down a little bit more from a technical standpoint. Okay, cool. So now we're going to do a little bit of a pause when we rotate the hand around, and we're just going to use breathing to open up the spine even more, or that kind of tightness that we generally feel there. So basically what we're going to do is you're going into, and are you all able to hear me when I'm moving my hand, or is it being muffled? It's okay? Okay, great. So from here, we're going to rotate
all the way around until our hands get to 180 degrees, which is here, okay? And then when I get to this position, I want to take a big deep breath in. And on the exhale, I want to think about my shoulder blade moving to the ground even more. Inhale again. Inhale again. So basically, you're using your breath to move even deeper into the stretch and then finishing it out. Okay, so you're going to go all the way around to 180 degrees. Feel that tension. And then on the inhale, you're going to fill the lungs. On the exhale, you're going to think about the shoulder blade moving closer to the ground. So bring it to 180 degrees with the hand or with the arm. That's it. And now in that position, first of all, think about your core. Abs are engaged. We're not cheating with our lower back. Big deep breath in. On the exhale, thinking about your shoulder blades softening towards the ground. Good. One more deep breath. Softening towards the ground. We'll try one last rep. So breath in and softening towards the ground. Good. We'll do one more repetition. So big circle all the way around again to 180 degrees. Check in with your core and your knees. Make sure that they're in position. And then big deep breath in. On the exhale, our shoulder blade is just softening into the ground more. Big deep breath in again. Check in with your core. Exhale and soften. And then last one. Big deep breath in. And exhale, shoulder blade towards the ground. Very nice, guys. Other side. All right. So again, checklist. Knees are up in line with our hips. Abs are engaged, like you're going to get a gentle kick in the stomach. And now big rotation all the way around, 180 degrees. Thinking about our abs. Big deep breath in. And exhale, bring the shoulders to the ground. This is also a great activity to see like, oh, there's a discrepancy between my right side, my left side. One side might feel a lot easier, one feels harder. That's just, being curious, kind of getting that awareness around where you're more restricted. Big deep breath in again. Exhale, shoulder blade to the ground. And last breath, big deep breath in. Exhale, softening towards the ground. Very nice. We're going to go for one more rep. So big circle all the way around with the arms. Good. Big rotation. Very nice. And big deep breath in. Exhale, shoulder blade comes to the ground. Bringing the attention to the core again. Make sure your lower back isn't doing all the work. Big deep breath in again. Shoulder blade to the ground. Last one. Big deep breath in. And exhale, softening to the ground. Very nice. Awesome, guys. Okay. So we're going to go into shoulder dislocations now. Okay. Shoulder dislocations, you're going to need some sort of a band, ideally. If you don't have a band, the easiest thing that you will hopefully all have is a towel. So you can use a towel as well, a bed sheet, whatever you have access to. Yeah, that's perfect, Pam. Okay. You can also use like a broom handle, but it's probably easier having a kind of a longer towel. It's going to be easier, okay? So we're going to work through this one, which is again, like if you just can't do this exercise enough, like it's just such a great exercise because again, like we're spending so much time here, we're on our phone, we're on our devices. The interesting thing about these positions as well is like
this position is very guarded. You don't feel safe in this position. You don't feel confident. And we're kind of spending our whole day here. So you want to do stuff that helps us feel more open, right? And that has an impact on like just how you feel as well. If you're less restricted through your chest and shoulders, okay? So this is the exercise. I'm going to do it on my knees just so you guys can see. But you can do it standing. Actually, I can do it standing. It's fine. Yeah, cool. So this is the exercise. We're going all the way over the top. And you don't need to go all the way over like I'm doing. But the beauty of using like a band or a towel is you can just grab it wider and wider and wider. Like, so the wider I grab it, the easier it is, the less flexibility I need through my shoulders and my chest. The closer I grab it, this is going to be really difficult. Okay, this is hard and it might even strain something. So you want to go to the very limit of whatever you're using. And we're just going to, first of all, just see how it feels by bringing it up over your head. And you're feeling, ideally you're looking for a stretch through the chest and shoulders. Through here is where we're looking for the stretch. Don't be overly worried if you're not feeling it immediately. Sometimes it just takes time to get that awareness. And the other thing I want you guys to think about is when we do this, again, our lower back tends to become the scapegoat. So now I'm using my lower back because my shoulders are really stiff. So what we want to do is squeeze our bum and keep our abs tight. So my glutes are squeezed, my abs are tight, again, like I'm going to get that soft punch. So I can still have a conversation. And now I know when I'm doing this exercise, I'm really actually using my shoulders. I'm not just cheating with my lower back. Okay? So we're going to go for 10 repetitions here. Again, to show you from this angle might be easier. So you don't have to go further than here. Like I'm getting a good stretch here now. If you feel comfortable, you can go all the way around, but a lot of the times that's a bit too much at the start. So just going, okay, I'm feeling a stretch through the shoulders, maybe the chest, and coming back, okay? So we're gonna go for 5 more. I'm just gonna have a look at you guys. Good. So again, really paying attention to the glutes, the abs, they're the big ones. If the glutes and abs are not being, you're not being conscious there, most likely you're dumping everything into your lower back, okay? That's it, Ron. Good. It's good, Kelly. Nice and controlled, Pam. Well done. That's it. Keep the core engaged. So really thinking about getting a light kick in the stomach, okay? All right. And resting. Nice, guys. So that's step number 1 of this exercise. Step number 2 is this is called shoulder extension. Okay, so if you want to do something like a dip or like push-ups or bench, a lot of people don't have any range through this exercise. So your ability to pull your shoulders back isn't there. So what happens is my shoulders start lifting forwards and I get a lot of neck tension and tightness. So this is a great way of alleviating that in a safe way. So keeping your elbows locked out. Again, my glutes are tight, my abs are tight. And I'm just bringing my hands back as far as I can within reason. I'm not going to my limit here. And I'm going for roughly 10 repetitions here. Okay. That's it. You can slightly just tuck your chin when you're doing this as well. So just slightly tuck the chin. That's it. And we want to try and keep your shoulders low away from the ears. If you find your shoulders rising, so for you, Ron, the further back you come, the more they rise. So less is more on this one, okay? That's better. Much better. Okay, great, guys. Last one on this one is we're going to bend over here and basically repeat it, but now we're able to access even more range. So
bending over, chin is tucked, and I'm bringing my hands over the top even more. If that's uncomfortable, you can also look at doing it off your knees, like so. But standing is probably going to feel safer, okay? Good. Keeping your chin nice and tucked. So we're going to go for 10 total repetitions, guys. Last one. Okay. And resting. So give yourself a little bit of a shake. That's it. You can do a bit of a dance if you want. Okay, so next is the Spider-Man lunge. Okay, great exercise. This is probably the one I do basically every day. It's really just hits a lot, like bang for buck. It's probably my favorite exercise. So basically, I'm going to show you what it is. Then we're going to regress it, and then we're going to do the full one. Okay, so first of all, this is what it is. So up into this A-frame position, like so. From here, we're going to step, and then reach, and then step back, and then reach. So that might be accessible to a lot of you. So we're going to start in this tabletop position, make it a bit easier. Okay. And step one is we're going to step a leg forwards as best you can. Okay, that might be just to here. Also, to make it easier, you want to think about your toe pointing outwards, away from your center line. Okay, that's just going to make it easier on your hip. Then from here, we're reaching, looking at our fingers as they go up. Good. Back to tabletop position. Step out the other side. Again, my toe is pointing away from my center line. And now I'm looking at my fingers as they go to the ceiling again. Okay, back we go. That's it. So you want to go other hand up in the air, Ron. Other hand in the air. You're doing a harder version. There we go. Much better. Okay, so that's step number one. If you want to make it a bit harder, we can walk out a little bit further and step a bit more. Again, our back knee is on the ground still. Rotate again. Inhale, come back. Step the leg further forward again. And back to center. Okay, as we progress, if it's too much for you, stay at the level you're comfortable with. Okay, but you know how to progress things going forwards with the steps we're going to be taking. So now we're going to start in a plank position. If the plank is challenging, you can lift your bum a little bit. And then we're stepping our leg. And then we're really just holding that position. All right, just getting comfortable holding that position. You can look to your left a little bit. Step back to your plank. You can put your bum in the air a bit again to make it a bit easier. And then we're stepping, small step on the other side. And just looking. Back down and rest. You can go into a little child's pose if you need to. For a minute or two, for 10-15 seconds. Good. Cool. From there, we're going to just try and go a bit further with our step. So now you just go as far as you feel is realistic. Most people, to the hand is not realistic. Maybe
roughly halfway between the hand and the leg. We're going to reach if we can, or you might just spend a few seconds on one hand, few seconds, the hand is there to support you if needed. And then we're going to step to the other leg. And same thing. Just a few seconds off the hand. If you can reach up. Okay? I'm just going to have a look at you guys do that version. And rest as much as you need here. Okay? Nice, guys. Well done. Good. Nice, Pamela. Awesome. And after like 1 to 2 reps each side, you can just have a little rest. The last version is doing that kind of A-frame or downward dog. Okay, so A-frame, downward dog. We're starting in our tabletop position. Push your butt up to the ceiling. And then from here, you're stepping. Again, you don't need to step as far as me, but if you can, great. Stepping back. Again, you can go back to plank, up to A-frame or downward dog, and then stepping. This might be too much for a lot of you, which is totally fine. So just stay on the previous version, okay? Good. Keep breathing. And Kelly, you're doing a nice version there with dropping that knee. Again. Yeah, that's great. Good, Ron. Again, 1 to 2 each side is going to be enough, guys, right? Good. Awesome, guys. So, I'm going to demonstrate now the last version. So the pigeon pose, great exercise for glutes, lower back. If you get like a lot of tension through your lower back from sitting, you get things like sciatica, which is very frustrating. This is a great kind of step for that. The first thing we're going to do is just see if you guys can get into this initial version. So you're on your bum, basically, your knees are bent. And then we're going to rotate over to one side. So let's rotate over to the right side. And what I'm trying to do here is bring my back knee towards my front heel. And a lot of times I'll be kind of in this position. It feels very tight and uncomfortable on my hips. So I want to try and walk forwards. And then it's going to allow me to get my knee, in particular my front knee, closer to the ground. Now, if that's impossible, which it will be for some of you, you can elevate your back glute up on cushions, and now it's going to be easier to drop onto my knee. So we want to have knee contact with the ground ideally, just because you're going to feel a lot safer. If your knees are kind of up like this, it's just not going to feel like a very safe position, okay? And then from here, we want to move our chest towards our knee for 10 repetitions. At the same time, I'm actively thinking about my front ankle and my front knee pushing into the ground. So I'm actively applying pressure through my front knee and ankle. And the big thing we're thinking about here is I'm moving from my hip, not from my back. So moving from my back is like this. I'm rounding my back. Moving from my hip, I'm thinking about my sternum coming towards the ground past my knee. Okay. So we're going to go for 10 repetitions there. And then on the 10th rep, you're going to do a static hold. Okay. It's good, Ron. Very nice. Very nice, Pamela. Good position. Good stuff, Kelly. Now, on the 10th rep, we're going to focus on a static hold. So 9 and 10. And now for 10 seconds, I'm going to actively drive my knee and my ankle into the ground even harder. And breathe. So 5 seconds. 4, keep applying pressure here and here. 3, 2, 1. Then I'm going to take a big deep breath in. And then I'm just going to soften all of that tension here. And just move into the stretch even more. And we can just gently, if you're going very deep, you can go onto your forearms. That feels more comfy. And then we're going to go to the other side. Okay, so again, the front knee, the back knee and the front heel are touching ideally. So we want to be, the heel and the knee are in contact. So for you, Ron, we want to go out a bit further. There we go. Yeah, good. And again, we want to try and get as upright as we can. If that's very difficult, elevating that glute is going to just make it more accessible. And then we're going to go for our 10 repetitions again. And we're bringing attention through the knee, to the ankle. We're actively applying downward force through the knee and ankle. And ideally, we're going to feel stretch or tension through that kind of glute lower back area on whatever front leg side that is. For me, it's my right leg, or my left leg, sorry. So we're going to go for 5 more reps. 4, 3, 2. Then last one, we're moving into the position, into the stretch, and we're actively driving through your knee, driving through your ankle. So you're thinking about applying force into the ground with both of these. I'm going to take 2 more deep breaths, keeping that tension on the ankle and knee. Last one, big deep breath in. And now we're going to release the tension and just soften into the stretch even more. Now we're going to hold this new position that we've moved into for another 10 to 15 seconds. And release. Now we're going to just do 1 more on each side. And this time I want you to pay attention. Like, this is a big thing with like training in general, but in particular flexibility, in particular if you're doing this stuff in the morning and you just feel really stiff and restricted. Sometimes when you do a second round, you're like, oh, wow, I can feel like a lot more benefit. I feel like the muscles are responding a lot better, okay? So we're going to go for 10 reps again on the other side. And so if you can bend that right knee a bit more, Ron, the back leg a bit more, yeah, good. And get more upright on your torso if possible. Yeah. Good. Now, this time when you are doing your static hold, I want you to play around with basically your sternum is in line with the knee, but you can move your sternum down your shin bone towards your ankle and just play around like, okay, where does that feel like I'm getting a better stretch? It might be on your knee, might be closer towards your ankle. Just explore there for a little bit and just breathe, relax into these positions. Okay, coming out of that now and going to the other side. That's it. So again, thinking about the active pressure through the hip and through the knee, or sorry, through the knee and through the ankle. And then after the 10th rep, you're going to explore basically between your knee and your ankle with your sternum. That's it. So Pamela, you can start moving down to your left now. There we go. Same with you, Ron. You can start exploring down towards the ankle more. There's no right or wrong position here now. We're just looking for where is there more tension? Where can I go in and alleviate a bit of that tension? Last few seconds. And 3, 2, 1, release. Awesome work, guys. Okay. So guys, that's everything today. I always like to finish any sort of workshop or any coaching with like your number one takeaway. So if there's like one thing, one kind of nugget or something that resonated or stuck out, and of course, if you have any questions, let's open that up now. So let's start with just like one takeaway. You can just unmute yourself because there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. Joe, if you want to jump in as well, man, you can. I know you weren't, well, I don't think you were taking part live, but you were on the call the whole time. So yeah, Pam, you want to jump in first?
I think just knowing that if I just do these exercises so that I don't confuse myself with a load of different things and just stick to those and just do those consistently. But I loved your diagram, which I think was me actually, with the crosses on. Sorry, my dog's come to join us. Because that's just me to a T, exactly what you described. So I'll be having that as a screensaver just to remind me.
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, it's like, you know, the internet's amazing with information, but it's also very overwhelming. So if you just have this as your base, like, okay, these are it's my daily multivitamin for mobility. And then you can look at other stuff as well once this is in place consistently. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Pamela, you want to go?
Connor, that's my first pigeon pose from I was operated on.
Wow, that's amazing. How did it feel?
It's just amazing. There's some I've experienced so much more mobility in my right knee this last week. And when you said pigeon pose, I thought, but no problem.
That's so
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, that's amazing. Because like I was like, you looked like you were able to get into a really good position as well, which is awesome.
No discomfort at all. So it was just amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to tell people about the injury history just very quickly?
I've had all sorts of problems with my knee, and the last while I've had my knee has been locking when I went down steps, which was particularly scary. So I chose to go down the route of having an arthroscopic operation. I can't say it in English now. So I basically had they high pressure hosed my knee joint because there was so much debris from before. I've had injuries and all sorts of things, and I am 67. So I didn't know what was going to happen after the operation, but I hoped it was going to be better, and it is. It's just made such a difference. There's no more locking. Yeah, huge difference.
Yeah, it's great. Great that you could do it today as well. That's so good to
And
hear.
I've been in the program a month now, so yeah, I'm getting huge benefits of it. Yeah.
That's awesome. So good to hear, Pamela. Ron, let's hear from you, mate.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Very low, mate. Very low.
Yes. I hate to. That better?
Yep.
Great. I'll tell you, my wrists for the last, I started when I was 80 doing some exercises, and I just have never been able to get my wrist to go anywhere near 45 degrees. And they really hurt today. So I'm guessing I need to continue that and maybe even some more wrist exercises, whether it's just the pressure this way. But I can't even begin to do the backward movement. I can't get them close to the ground.
Yeah.
So that's really where I need a lot of work. I've been working on upper body and some lower body flexibility, a lot of your videos. So it's been very helpful.
Right. So kind of the takeaway was kind of like the restriction in the wrists, and that's an area that needs more focus.
Yep.
Yeah. And like
Uh,
just you know, if you can't do one part of it, like just work on the parts that you can for now, rather than trying to force something that's not available yet.
Well,
That
isn't it good to, I mean, I can do it to a certain extent. Uh, I would think the idea is not to overdo it, but don't do it. I mean, I should,
yeah. It just like there's different parts of the wrist. So like, these ones would be a great safe way to start, like we did at the start.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, like definitely you want to move as much as you can, as long as you're not like forcing yourself to beyond your limit. That's where you can just get injured and then it's frustrating. It takes longer to get back. Okay.
How do you tell where that point is? I mean, today it was, I don't want to say painful, but it was, pick another word. It,
Yeah. Uncomfortable. Like,
yeah, very uncomfortable. And so I don't think I've ever gone to the point where I would concern myself with injury, but I
hey,
don't know where
Pamela.
that point is.
Yeah, this is a really good question. I'm actually going to answer this because it's a good question. I want to just take Kelly's takeaway as well, and then we'll open up Q&A with your first question, okay?
Great, great.
You want to share your takeaway, Kelly?
Yeah, so I was surprised at when I was doing the exercises how much I was losing tension through my body. So when I was nothing was when I was focusing on the exercise, my core relaxed, my when we were doing the pigeon pose, pushing into the ground, I couldn't, yeah, it was very difficult for me to do the two things at once, focus on the exercise and maintain the tension.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, once you were in the position, but then when it was like, watch out for actively drive your knee and ankle into the ground and keep your back straight, and
Yeah.
you would task switch and then lose one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's really common. It's just like it's like when when you're learning to drive,
Mhm.
and it's like you're thinking about everything, and then it starts becoming more automated. Like it's very similar to that process. Or if you ever try
Yeah.
to juggle, like juggling is a great
Yeah.
thing because it's really hard at the start, and then you're just doing it normally. So that's where like being really focused on the movements at the start, and then they start
Yeah.
crossing over into the real world. Like, oh, now I'm picking up a box off the ground and my core is just engaging,
Yeah.
like the way
Yeah.
I want it to, because I've drilled it so much in my training.
Yeah.
So yeah, this stuff will all come with practice, and you want to just think like we're in this movement environment in modern world, which is just pushing us into really bad patterns and positions. So our physical training is all about offsetting that, so we feel more resilient for day-to-day stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good.
Cool.
It was good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm glad you jumped on.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to Ron's question, and then yeah, any other questions, guys? We can stay on for another like 5 minutes or so. So yeah, more than happy to answer them. Ron, your question basically, how do you know to push things but not to the point of getting injured, or how do you know if you're doing enough but not too much? Is it?
Right, correct.
Yeah, this is like it's very personality dependent. Okay, so if you are the type of person who always tends to burn out, go through phases of pushing really hard and getting injured, then chances are you're probably need to do less. If you're someone that never really gets into any sort of momentum, you kind of never get going at all, you probably need to do a little bit more. But I always kind of get people to err on the side of caution and do it like it should feel pretty easy. In particular, like with the first month when you're getting back into training, we want to make it really low friction, because the things that are going to stop you from being consistent are excessive soreness just from pushing a bit too hard. Maybe it's enough, but like your wrists, your arms are sore now for 2 or 3 days, and that knocks you off your momentum. Or you get a frustrating flare up, and that knocks you off your momentum as well. So in the first month, generally I'd be like, let's just keep it really gentle, focus on the pattern of showing up, and the movements should feel like, if a 10 out of 10 is like, this is my limit, like I'm running from my life, like this is how intense it is, we want to be like at a 5 or even a 4 is going to be enough. And then after like 4 to 8 weeks, you've got more of an idea of what you're able for and what you're not able for, and then we can start gauging things up and down. Okay.
Good.
Cool. Other questions, guys? Pam, Kelly, Joe, any questions? Anything that you're unsure of? It doesn't have to be about today. It can be just in general, like stuff that you're maybe struggling with or want more clarity on.
I've got one about trying to touch my toes.
Yeah.
My legs are fairly long with a short waist, and I can get about 3 inches off the ground. And I've been doing this forward bend, trying to strengthen my calf and muscles in the back of the legs. And I haven't been able to get much closer than that 3 inches doing this for probably 9 months to a year. Now I've done some of the
Sure.
other exercises you suggest to help lengthen those muscles, but even that hasn't produced it. So I'm just wondering if there's some exercise that I could be doing to get a little more flexibility in that bend over position.
Yeah, like definitely something that maybe isn't thought about a lot when it comes to like opening up your hamstrings and your calves. Like, yeah, definitely stretching your calves, your hamstrings are brilliant. But that abdominal compression, which allows your body to fold forwards, that's like, it's a combination of your hamstrings, your calves, so the back of the body, but it's also the core muscles to engage so it can actually pull you over. So those can be good movements to work on as well.
Oh.
So a pretty, it's just, I would be careful with it though, but it's like a seated scale, basically. So you would be in this position and you just start practicing this straight leg scale. So you're lifting your leg up. So what that's doing, it's called a compression drill, and it's like an abdominal compression drill. And then that makes it a lot easier to go down because I have that abdominal pressure to pull myself into that position. But the only thing I would say about that drill is be very careful, because these are quite, everything is risk versus reward. There's some very, very rewarding exercises, but they're very risky. So I don't always recommend them. So that would be probably the first thing. You could also.
So
Yeah,
what would
like
I be
maybe-
risking there when you say that with the leg lift? What would I be risking?
Cramping through the abdominal area, cramping
Okay.
through the hip flexors, cramping through the quads. It's just something to move very gently with it. Don't push it. But that might be the missing piece for a lot of people, is that abdominal compression. Okay.
Sounds good. Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No problem. Kelly or Pam, any questions, guys?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Cool. And Pam?
No, not really. Too many. I need to book you for another session.
No problem. Well, guys, look, it was great having you all on. I'm going to send you through the program, the P530 program. You're going to get access to that, and also the recording. I'll send that through to you guys tomorrow, okay?
Super.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thank you
Have a
very much.
lovely Easter. And yeah, any questions, just let me know via email, okay?
Great.
You.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.